some romaine lettuce and some pieces of green bell pepper this morning. And occasionally we will wrap up a piece of squid in that lettuce. It's a little bit like a low-cal, high-protein burrito that they get. So you can see one of the floats. They're trying to attract one of the turtles right now to come back to her feeding station. And we do this because these turtles are big, but they're slow, and they don't really like to get out of the way for other animals. We want to make sure they don't cause a collision, so they're going to move them off to one side. And then in the top center, you may notice that a big yellow X has just been dropped in the water. That's Michael. He is going to be working right here with our ocean sunfish coming up the left side right next to me. Yes, I see our sardines are already jumping in there too. So here comes the ocean sunfish, this fish that looks like maybe half a fish. This little guy is about the size and the weight of a manhole cover, and it's headed for that big yellow target over there where Michael will be feeding him. And meanwhile, we've got that flash mob of about 18,000 sardines starting to feed. Brett has started throwing some handfuls of fish food into the water. It looks a little bit like a miniature version of the kibble that you might feed your cats or dogs at home. But you also notice some big pink clouds, and these are krill. So we're throwing in about 10 pounds of krill, the little crustacean shrimp-like animals that are also food to whales, and some of the largest sharks in the world actually eat that krill too. So these sardines are making really short work of that. You can see the ocean sunfish getting hand-fed up in the top center there. And surrounding the ocean sunfish, you can see all these kind of medium-sized fish with black and white stripes on them. Those are called pilot fish, and they're doing what pilot fish do very well. They hang around with bigger animals, and they clean up the scraps that might get left behind. So these are the animals that are being fed this morning. We will be feeding some of the larger animals on another day, and this is one of the ways that we keep these big animals from eating some of the small ones too. We keep everybody really well fed, and we make sure that they're well fed before we start feeding the small ones. Now, sardines like this, people used to think that we had fished out all the sardines in this part of California. They used to be called the silver gold of Monterey Bay because they were such a valuable commodity. This is part of what made the canneries of Cannery Row so profitable. And one of the canneries that was here at the site of the aquarium, the Hoveton Cannery, at its peak, they were canning and processing something like 70 tons of sardines every day. So it was a really remarkable load that they could move through. Now, sardines like this, as I say, we used to be thought we fished them all out, but now we know that there's a normal boom and bust cycle, and I'm happy to report sardines are back in abundance along the California coast. They are a really terrific fish, low on the food chain and somewhat local if you're trying to eat more local. They've got all those great benefits of seafood. So this is one of the reasons that we can put them on the green list. Wow. The green list of our seafood watch guide. When they flash around like that, you may be wondering who the heck is the leader of that school? And it turns out nobody is, and everyone is. Any one of the sardines can act as the leader for the group, so they have this sort of distributed decision-making. They can move around pretty efficiently, and as you saw, when some of those big mahi-mahi fish decided to swim through the middle of the school, nobody had to wait for the guy up front to get the news. They could all move out of the way. And this is one of the ways that small fish will band together to protect themselves. You know, if you're a sardine, you want as many Facebook friends as you can possibly get. That's because if there are more of us all together, there's a lot lower chance any one of us will get picked off by a big predatory fish. So here's something you can try. Pretend that you are a big tuna or a mahi-mahi fish trying to catch one of these little sardines. Follow one individual fish with your eyes and see if you can keep following it while you count to about 20. It's a little bit hard to do because they move around together so much, and that's the idea. Now, I was calling them, I was nicknaming this a flash mob, but sometimes they really do flash. When all of the fish turn at once, the sun can reflect off of them, the light can reflect off, and it may be that they actually flash their predators a little bit with a blinding light, and that may help to move the predators away momentarily as well. So another defense strategy that they have there. I see that we're still sprinkling in some bits of food up on the top, but you can also see that the sardines are making very short work of this. I mentioned before that they make a really great seafood choice if you enjoy eating seafood, but there are a lot of different confusing pieces of information out there, so we're trying to make it easier for you to make healthy choices, both for yourself and for the ocean. We've got our scorecard, our seafood watch guides that you can pick up. I've got some with me today. And we set this up like a stoplight. Green for go, enjoy that. It's a fish or a seafood that is sustainably harvested, healthy, both for you and the ocean. Yellow, maybe slow down a bit, and the things on the red list are the ones that we want to give a break to. For example, some of the bluefin tunas that you see swimming around in front of you, those big bullet-shaped animals, they are very endangered in the wild, and unfortunately, they are also very highly prized. Just this week, earlier this week, in the Tokyo Fish Market on the first day of the year, one bluefin tuna weighing a little under 600 pounds sold for over $700,000 for one fish. So you can see that there is a lot of pressure to fish for the bluefin tuna, and unfortunately that makes them something that